this pain is just, it's life-changing. I will never be who I was. I will never be the same. I just want my baby. Like, seriously, I want my baby back. Like, my heart hurts so bad. So bad. But I have to keep fighting, and I have to bring attention to this epidemic. Like, this is not okay. I want my baby back. He was amazing. I mean, he was so funny. He had the best personality. I mean, he was like a little firecracker. Like, he was just such a special person, just beautiful. He was so full of love and light and just always wanting to help people. Just the biggest heart you could imagine. I mean, just such a good kid, such a beautiful person. He played AAU basketball for about 4 years. He was super fast, very athletic. He also played soccer, and they called him Chicharito. And that's that's a Mexican soccer player that was like famous, and everybody would call him Chicharito. And he was just really athletic. Like, he was good at anything he did. He loved to make money. My mom bought him a book of entrepreneurship, and he got ideas, and he started a lawn service business in our neighborhood. Him and some neighbor kids got together, and they would go mow people's lawns because he loved money. He loved to have his own money. He wanted to just have money. He loved it. He always had nicknames for people. And his little sister, he would always call her Chicka Smooth. And he would make nicknames for everybody. He would always go around the house calling me a chicken nugget. Or he was just funny. Like, he just had the best personality. He always seen the light in things. I mean, he could be going to jail and be happy. Like, he just, I don't know. He feared nothing. He had no fear at all. Yeah, he was just an amazing kid. Like, funny, hilarious. I mean, he would just always make jokes and trick you. And I remember one time I was looking for him, and he was supposed to be grounded, and I'm looking everywhere for him. I'm going up and down the street like, Izaya, where are you? He's on top of the roof laughing at me. Like, he would always do little things to just, yeah, and I could never be mad at him. He could do no wrong to me. Like, he was like my best friend. I had him at 16. I struggled through life with him. And it's so hard to talk about him. Since my son has passed, I've started, it's called the Isaiah Michael Foundation. And what I do is I go around and I help people that are struggling with addiction. And I give Narcan, I feed the homeless or the struggling addict because they matter, their lives matter. And sometimes they need a hug. Sometimes they need somebody to pull them out of where they're at, somebody to care. You know, and I don't have my son to save, but maybe I can save someone else's son or daughter, or help them or give them what they need to go on. My foundation, I do a free haircut, showers. I'm connected with some other churches and other organizations, and I just try to help people, and that's how I deal with my grief, is by helping, because anything I do cannot bring my baby back. But this is an epidemic, and there's people passing away from this left and right out here. and something has got to be done more than what's being done on a investigative level. They didn't even investigate my son's case. They just told me he's gone. I didn't know anything. Like, so my son fell into addiction the last year of his life, like really bad addiction. I had him arrested so I could get all the paperwork together to get him help. And they were supposed to notify me before they let him out because I was trying to get conservatorship over him. They didn't let me know. So they released him from the jail, didn't tell me nothing. He's walking home and he gets some drugs. He's probably thinking it was something. I don't think he was on fentanyl. I think he was like poisoned with it, because I think he thought he was getting like coke or something, because he used to be up and wild when he fell into his addiction, like kind of crazy. So I was thinking it was something like coke or something, but he got pure fentanyl. It's like he didn't know what he was getting. He was being deceived. And he passed away on the way home behind a Chinese restaurant. And his life is just gone. And now I gotta eat alone. Like he was a bum or something. Like he didn't matter. Like, what? The coroner's office came to my house, knocked on the door, and said, can I come outside? So I was like, okay. So I go outside and they announced who they were. They're the coroner's office, and her name, I forgot her name. And she's like, is your son Izaya Boatright? I said yes, and I felt something. Like, I felt something was wrong. She's like, can you sit over here with me? And I'm like, what? And I'm shaking, and I'm like, what? Like, what's going on? I said, Isaya's in jail right now. Like, what? And she's like, no, your son was found deceased behind the Chinese restaurant on Broadway. And I was like, I just, I just fell to the ground. And I couldn't breathe. I couldn't. Like right now, like it just triggered me, like it just happened. But I was way worse than this. And then my son heard me screaming, and he came out, and this is his big brother. He's 23. He comes out and he's just losing it. We're just in the yard, falling all over, crying. The coroner's office lady was crying. She had tears in her eyes. And she was just like, I'm so sorry to tell you, but... yeah, that was my baby. He went through life with me, like, right there, like, he was, like, that was my son. He went through everything with me. There's nothing on this earth that I would not do for one of my kids. And I put myself through a lot to raise them. I had them when I was 16, or I had him when I was 16. And all I'm trying to do is just create a better life for us. And to lose a piece of him, like just lose him, it's not right. And they're not, nobody's really doing nothing about this, but these are our children that we're losing. These are people's lives, and we're losing them at astonishing numbers. Like, it's just, these are tearing families apart. Like, I'm nowhere near the same. I'm not even the same person no more. I have problems now. I have like mental problems, like my brain's messed up. It's not just grief brain, it's like there's real trauma. It's the worst thing a parent should go through. You should never have to bury your own child. Like, this is not how life's supposed to go. And yet, like, there's nothing being done. Like you just write off my son like he didn't even matter. And who do I talk to? I've already talked to the news. I've done everything I can do. And it's just too much for me to even process yet. It's only been about a year. And to go on in life without one of your children is literally the worst pain imaginable. It's like you almost don't even want to live anymore because it's so painful. My son was very popular. He was like a ladies' man. Like, he was just beautiful. A lot of girls liked him. A lot of people liked him, and I think people were kind of intimidated by him because my son, like I said, he feared nothing. He didn't care what anybody thought of him. He was not a follower. He kind of did what he wanted to do. And he was like the truth. That's all I can say about him is he was the truth. Like, he was just real. And it's just crazy. I didn't really want to talk about his addiction, but his addiction drastically changed him into somebody that nobody knew anymore. My son was with his friend at a store, and they were crossing a busy street, and they were both on their bikes, and my son wanted to go to the store, so he holds this on his chest like it was his fault. But they were walking across or riding their bikes across the street, and the kid got hit and flew up and basically died right there. And it, like, right there in front of my son. And that right there is when I noticed my son change. And I mean that because he held that, he was the truth. He was a good person, but he just also didn't use his brain. I mean, he would just do whatever he wanted to do, and he holds that like that was his fault. And that's when the drugs started coming in. That's when I started noticing heavy weed smoking. I just started noticing him go down a dark path. His whole friend group changed at that time. And life got really real. And as a single mom, I'm trying to save him. I'm like Izaya, and I'm putting him in programs. I'm trying to do this, that. I never gave up. I was always trying to figure out a way to help him through his pain because I knew that changed him. I started noticing him on drugs. Like, I could tell he was doing stuff. And it's like whatever I did, I couldn't catch him. It's like he was slipping through my hands. And I lost him, but fentanyl took his life. And I know my son was not on no damn fentanyl. I know that because he was always up, wild, crazy. Like, I get no investigation. I get nothing because I don't have a phone. I don't have this. I don't have that. So it's like, there's nothing for them to go off of, the investigators, like nothing. They just told me he's gone. Like, he's gone. Just the whole piece of you just gone. 200 deaths a day in the U.S. that we're losing. We're losing people out here left and right. And there's just not enough being done about this. And the pain that people are holding from losing their family, their loved ones. I mean, and then their whole life just gone. Like, it's just not right. And I don't think people care enough if it's not directly affected. Like, there's not a lot being done, not by the government, for sure. I feel like if you're not directly affected, you don't know the pain that somebody's feeling and has to live with every day. Sometimes I don't even want to get out of bed. I don't want to keep going. It's like, what's the point? But I still have other kids and I have to be strong for them. And that's why my fight is so hard. That's why I fight, and I will not shut up about my son, because that was a piece of me and he's supposed to be here. I was supposed to have grandkids. I mean, I was supposed to have a whole life with him. Like, yeah, he fell into addiction, but that is not his fault. I mean, we all fall into things when we're young, but we also come out of them and we still have a second chance. He got no second chance. He got no, like, I don't know. Nobody chooses addiction, right? And I feel like the addiction just grabbed him. I felt like it was like a vulture or something, like putting his claws in him and just took my baby's soul. And there's nobody to be mad at. There's nobody I could beat up. It's a drug. They need to do more. It's not a drug, that's poison. And they need to do more about getting that off of these streets. And that's with the street level dealer, and it's just not okay what these families are going through, what I'm going through. Not to mention our kids they're robbed of their whole life. And it's not just kids. These are struggling addicts out here. I mean, everybody matters. Life matters. And I just feel like we're not bringing enough attention around this fentanyl epidemic that's going on. And it's just it's not right. When I lost my son, the only thing that I could think of doing was get up and help people that are out here struggling. And it was, I don't know what it was, but it was like the veil or something came over me, and I just started seeing all these people out here struggling with addiction. And before, I wasn't really paying attention to stuff like that. I had a body sculpting business. I was like in a different mindset. And I started noticing after I lost my baby what's going on out here. And instead of me sitting there crying and grieving, which of course I'm doing that when I'm not out helping people, but for me to deal with my grief, I just got up. I got Narcan. I started meeting with different nonprofits, and I started helping the situation. Then I was like, because I remember my son when he was younger, like if he was going to go out and about and go hang out with his friends and stuff, he would make a few sandwiches at the house. And I'd be like, why are you making, all that food? And he'd be like, oh, I'm going to feed a couple people. He's like, man, there's people out here with no food. He's like, Mom, we got all this food. Like, why don't we help people? I'm going to just help somebody out here. So I was like, okay, Izaya, do your thing. So, when he passed away, that was like in my mind, like he had the biggest heart. He would feed people that were struggling. He helped people. He would want me to do that. So I started helping people that were struggling. I started making little sack packs of food and hygiene kits and getting clothing, connecting with other nonprofits, doing what I can, but I'm still grieving, so it's hard to do a whole lot. So I would just do what I could handle to do to help people. And now I have a spot every Saturday where I go and we pass out food, we pass out literature, we educate people about fentanyl. I connect with the drug-induced homicide. I'm a part of their group. And I have Merica Cole come out, and she really educates people on the fentanyl epidemic. I do things like that to help me deal with my grief, to keep moving forward, because I still have other kids that I have to live for and be here for. And yeah, I'm changed. And now, like, my house looks like a campaign. I have a whole campaign going on. But I'd rather be doing that and help save lives, since I couldn't help my son, because I know my son is living through me, and I know that's what he would want me to do. He would want me to help people that are struggling. My son had the biggest heart. Anybody that knew him knew his heart, and he was the truth. Everything was just real about him. And he would want to be remembered in a positive way. Not saying he didn't live his crazy life sometimes, but all in all, he was an angel. He was a really good kid that got mixed up in the wrong lifestyle towards the end of his teen years. That's through music, peer pressure. Although he wasn't influenced a lot, but he wanted to be cool. I mean, he looked cool. I mean, he was into NBA YoungBoy and all that stuff. But the messages that this music has is not that good. And I wasn't paying attention to any of this before. I'm just a single mom trying to put food on the table and take care of my family. So I wasn't paying attention to everything that I needed to pay attention to. And I can admit that. And I did my best as his mother to provide the best life I could for them, given our circumstances and what I went through as a kid. I mean, to go on in life without one of your children is literally the worst pain imaginable. It's like you almost don't even want to live anymore because it's so painful.